Ladies and gentlemen, I have said before that they elevate these cops to like a godlike status. And the only result of that is them terrorizing people out here and initiating problems and not really de escalating. So now you have a situation where the Supreme Court just made it easy for them to arrest you if they don't like your language, ladies and gentlemen, or if you're filming them. They can now come up and arrest you. And the Supreme Court is saying this is just fine and dandy, ladies and gentlemen. So, again, taking more of our freedoms away and giving cops more freedoms, in my opinion, they don't deserve to have. So you got these alleged public servants that do a shitty ass job every day, and they are getting more protection. Supreme Court just made it easier for police to arrest you for filming them. Ladies and gentlemen, I think these folks know they're on their way out. They're just throwing the kitchen sink now, at anything, anything that's going to stick. Let's just pick up the whole sink and throw it. So, they have the First Amendment, which protects your free speech. And believe it or not, Black people, you have freedom of speech too. When these trolls come by your channel and try to shut you down because they don't like what you're saying, all you got to do is file yourself a lawsuit up at the court. I promise you they're not going to win. Okay? Because if they take your freedom of speech away, ladies and gentlemen, then that kind of quash the First Amendment. And they're not going to do that. They'll just let it go, let you have your freedom of speech and move on. These trolls think they have a say on whether our channels exist or not, and they really don't. If you just go that extra mile like I did and take YouTube to court, you will find that your freedom of speech really does mean something. So the First Amendment makes it unconstitutional for government officials to retaliate against you because they dislike your speech. Exactly. At the same time, federal law gives you the right to sue state officials for compensation if they violate your freedom of speech. On Tuesday, the Supreme Court invented a rule that will allow police officers to arrest people in retaliation for unfavored speech without liability. So you can't go out there and call them a bitch, because then one of them will get uptight and slap handcuffs on you and arrest you. Sound like some ultra sensitive shit to me, but let's go on. By enabling police officers to target viewpoints they dislike with near impunity, the decision could be catastrophic for protesters and the press. It will. It will. If you think these cops aren't going to go over the top with this stuff, you got another thought coming. Look at how they act when this law was not in effect, when this court ruling was not in effect. Look at how they act. Now, you just told them if you don't like what somebody said, say to them, exercising their freedom of speech, they can just tackle you down to the ground and handcuff you and arrest you over something you said. It does sound like them freedoms are disappearing, doesn't it? So the justices simply don't want police officers to have to defend themselves in court against these type of allegations. So apparently they're saying, in other words, if you are jaywalking in violation of a local ordinance, officers can arrest you without fear of liability, even if they're making the arrest only because you're participating in a Black Lives Matter demonstration or wearing a MAGA cap. You ain't hardly arresting people with MAGA caps on. Get out of here with that, adding that in. You ain't, get out of here. So, by immunizing such abuse, Neves may have devastating effects on demonstrators, press photographers, or anybody who wants to exercise their speech rights in public, like the right to film the police or verbally challenge officer misconduct. The power to arrest is a potent tool for suppressing speech because even if charges are later dropped, arrestees must undergo the ordeal and dangers of being booked and jailed, and they may have to disclose the arrest on a future job or housing application, among other ramifications. Congress long ago recognized that making officers financially liable and most effective way to deter such misconduct, and that's why a federal law called the Section 1983 enables lawsuits against state officials for violating constitutional rights. Yeah, right. These cops go out here every single day for centuries violating people's constitutional rights. And you mean to tell me you got Section 1983 in place and they're still out here violating everybody's rights anyway? So that tells me you got something on the book that's totally ineffective and it's not being enforced. Okay, landmark statute was enacted during Reconstruction when Southern states were refusing to respect basic liberties. As one congressman said, the federal government could not directly compel the states to fall in line, but it could deal with the offenders by giving the injured party an original action in our federal courts. Section 1983 therefore authorized suits for violation of any rights that are secured by the Constitution. Well, I tell you what, your cops ain't paying attention to that at all. Things were clearly headed in the direction during oral argument last fall, where these justices suggested that they viewed the case as an opportunity to decide what rules would be best for society. Having your cops go out here and arrest people just because they verbalize something to them, I think you're going to have a lot of problems. I really do. This whole thing is going to implode on you. It really is. Justice Stephen Breyer made no secret of the fact that he was looking for a compromise that would sacrifice some First Amendment rights to limit the number of lawsuits against the police. For an hour, the justices debated the merits of various approaches, like legislators crafting a bill. Missing was any substantially discussion of the meaning of the First Amendment or the text and history of Section 1983. In response, the plaintiff counsel had to remind the justices of the truism they have often repeated: if a law produces socially undesirable results, it is the job of Congress, not the court, to amend the law. This prompted a stunning but revealing question from Chief Justice John Roberts: what law is Congress supposed to change? Amid all the policy debates, it seems that the chief had completely forgotten this case was about interpreting the federal statute. Unfortunately, 6 months of reflection since that argument didn't change things. So, how did the court attempt to justify the new rule it announced? Wow. Justification for that erosion of federal liability: Congress, not the courts, should decide when officials can be sued for compensation. Got that? When Congress is not authorized has not authorized lawsuits against officials. It's wrong for the Supreme Court to supplant Congress' role by allowing such lawsuits. But when Congress has authorized lawsuits, it's fine for the courts to cut back on what Congress has authorized if the justices don't like the implications. You know what, ladies and gentlemen? The bottom line is they got it rigged up now. These cops can arrest you for virtually anything, even if you stand there and call them a bitch. If they decide they don't like your language or how you expressed yourself with them, they can now tackle you down to the ground, slap handcuffs on you, and arrest you and throw you in jail with hardened criminals because some cop is butt sore about what you said, or they have a problem with you filming them. Okay, I just see this as turning out to be something really bad. I really do. This is going to turn out to be bad. You know, the cops do too much now, way too much with impunity. Now you're going to allow them to do even more? That is just insane. But ladies and gentlemen, look at the faces of the people that are making these decisions. And just understand, this is historic. They are not going to make laws in favor of the citizens. They're not going to make laws that protect the citizens. Each and every year, every time I see them come out with new laws, it's more protection for the cops. More protection for the cops. See, a cop can come and bang your face into the pavement, but if you turn around and defend yourself, you're arrested, and they are going to slap all these charges on you, assaulting a cop. You know, so they got the laws all rigged up in this country where they can abuse you, kill you, but if you try to fight back, you're going to jail, or they can kill you. That's how they got it rigged up in America, ladies and gentlemen. And you can see just from this article, it's about to get even worse out here with these cops. If you think they're not going to take advantage of this, you better think again. They're going to be all over it. Please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.